Welcome, everybody, to PARAMERICAN Radio once again. I am hanging out with my good friend. Usually I come up with some really snappy, quick, cool, clever name for Justin. But I don't know. Today, Justin, Mr. Justin Holstein I'm talking to. I just want to say Justin Holstein's with me.
Wow.
I'm just feeling like a nice guy today.
That's deep, man.
I'm not going to start out fucking with you. I just started out chilling. And I think the reason that I'm going easy on you, because I feel like today we need to turn our focus on our long-lost little Hollywood brother here, Steve Tinder Zilberman. How you doing, Steve?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You have that look on your face like, fuck, I don't know what's fixing to happen.
Right.
But something's fixing to go down. You could tell. Steve, I think it's time that we all just kind of got to know you a little bit better, because I know Steve, but do I know Steve?
That's not my real name.
I know. And the reason I know that because I've flown with you before. And your real name would be Stanislav.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah.
Which reminded me of that Eminem song, Who's Stanislav? Instead of Stan. Right?
Is that how it was pronounced in Russian?
Yeah, Stanislav.
Stanislav.
Yeah. Well, Stanislav.
Stanislav.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's funny you say Stanislav, and Justin added some lower Russian nut to it. He goes Stanislav, like he's connected to it somehow.
No, dude, that's what it is,
Stanislav.
man.
Oh, you're so fucking on it, Holstein.
I'm just speaking the truth, dog.
That's because he's Czech. He just feels like he can connect with it, To those of you out there, let me describe Steve a little bit and say how I met Stanislav and how I got to know him and what he does for us now and what my hopes are for him in the future. And then we'll try to get to know Steve a little better. We do a lot of touring, our company does. And we do probably 50 to 70 dates a year around the world where we take our films out and essentially give our followers, friends, fans, family, and supporters, we give them a chance to see what amounts to the director's cut, an early cut, a long, thick cut of whatever our latest film may be. When we first started doing the tours, back in the days where 5 to 10 people would show up, I had the time and energy and effort, as did Justin, to, or at least we tried to film as much stuff as we could for social media. Realizing that that's just a part of our world now. If you're going to be in the entertainment business, you need to be documenting what you're doing. And in the beginning, we were able to do it kind of half-assed just because it was too hard to, Justin would run our tours. In our company, we all kind of have to wear many hats. So Justin would be kind of like, producing the tour and tour managing the tour while being a part of the tour. And at the same time, I'm, engaging our guests and doing press and meet and greets and also presenting the show. The point being is there's just not enough time, so we needed a documentarian. We needed somebody to basically document our journey. We obviously believe that our journey is something special, so even if it's just for us and our fans, we felt like it was something we needed. So we finally got to the point where it was time to find that guy. Justin, we started out just kind of trying to go through people we knew. And Justin brought this gentleman named Manoush. Manoush was a young filmmaker from India. And God bless Manoush as a person. I found him to be just a sweetheart of a human being. Just a really nice guy. And a big heart and an absolutely terrible employee. He was... God, he had issues with the
Language barrier.
Yeah, he could speak English, but kind of broken. But what was funny is he would often try to like lie and bullshit his way out of stuff. And because he had that language barrier, you could see his lies 10 miles away. And it was just very, very difficult. I mean, there was, Manoush, I love you, so I'm not going to say any bad stories. I genuinely like Manoush. But
I think there was a cultural barrier. There was a bridge he just couldn't cross because I don't think
there was also a talent barrier. There was also a work ethic barrier. There was also, it wasn't just cultural. I mean, again, as a human being, I love him. He'll be a friend of mine forever. I would give anything to see Manoush tonight and go hang out with him. He was so much fun. But he clearly wasn't right for the job. So we decided, it's time to move on from Manoush, but we didn't know who else to really hire. Like, I know a lot of people in this town. I know a lot of good shooters in this town. But I also felt like it's going to take... I wanted someone fresh, young, new, someone that wanted the road, someone that wanted to just get out there and do it with us. So we took to Craigslist. And there was two people that I liked that I picked. Steve was my first. And I was honest with him. I called him up and told him that and had this great conversation with him. And at the time, he had a trip planned to the Middle East, Israel, right? Yeah. And he was saying something about how, it's those dates. Your tour is over these dates. And, I kind of said to him, but I guess let us know kind of, where your commitment is, because this is, we need to be number one. You know what I mean? Like, that's whoever we hire, this has got to be their thing. And he got off the phone, and as a safety, I called the second guy, and because I know what you were going to say ultimately. And I literally figured if he says yes, then he's our guy, because if he's going to cancel his own stuff to jump on this right now, then he's our guy. And if he does, then I was going to hire the other guy. And I talked to the other guy, and the other guy says, I'll drop everything I'm doing right now. I'll fucking kill my family if I can get this gig. He was just like, I'm in.
Wow.
And I told him, I said, well, I'm going to be honest with you. I have another guy called. I got to wait to hear back from him. And if he says no, then it's your gig. And I think I gave you till the end of the night. I basically said, you get a hold of me tonight. I got to know.
Gave me an ultimatum.
Yeah. And you called back pretty quickly, actually. It wasn't, I didn't, like, it's not like 5 hours went by or something. Like, it was pretty quickly, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And you said, basically what you said was, listen, I'm going to make it work no matter what. I'm making phone calls right now. I'm going to see what's up, but I'm not going to lose this. And I was like, that's awesome, good. Because I truly like your style. I think all of us saw that it was similar enough to mine naturally. He just had a very epic way that he would shoot things. And that was hard to find as someone that I felt like, it's not like it's my style, but it was close enough where I could be like, okay, I could work with this pretty easily. Right. And I think he could look at my stuff and get it as far as to what it is. And so, I met Steve. I told him to come down to my place. And for all you ladies out there, I didn't know what Steve looked like at all. This young, good-looking, raver-looking type kid shows up. He's got his little dreadlocks going. He's rocking his all-black emo.
And we had stuck this out to hundreds of people. I mean, we had tons and tons and tons of responses, And actually, Chad did mention right off the bat about, because you had touring experience. A lot of people didn't, and that was a big
that was a big
plus right there.
The fact that when you told me you went out with metal bands and stuff, I mean, I come from one of those metal bands that did that. I liked that we connected on that, because I know the hell of a metal tour. I mean, there's no money. You're starving.
Right.
You're living on fucking sawdust and taking one shower every 8 days and shit, and doing the rag baths and stuff. Literally 5 dudes splitting a fucking chicken sandwich. Am I lying? I mean, this is how the shit works, Figuring out the Carlos O'Kelly's and the places with free chips and free refills on drinks, and that's life on the road, right? That's how you get by. And I liked that he had done that. So look, I met this guy, and he was a sweetheart of a guy. And I thought everybody would really, take to him, his personality, which they did. Everybody really, really liked Steve right away. And, I think the world of Steve as well. And as we've become friends, it's been kind of hard for me because I think, Steve, I told you this, I think you can become extremely successful in whatever you want to do. But you still have a young man's work ethic at times. When you want to work hard, you're fucking impressive. But you could also be a little bitch sometimes. And you could also just blow shit off, and it's frustrating to me because I do think the world of your talent. But we're learning how to work together, and I have high hopes for what could be possible in the future. But I want to get to know you. I mean, I think our audience should get to know you. We've done a podcast with Justin and myself. I know a little bit about you, but not nearly as much, as I want to. So if you don't mind, we'd like to ask you a few questions about yourself.
Yeah.
And see what you have to say for yourself.
Yeah.
I guess my first question that I have for you, Steve, is, why Hollywood? Where are you from to begin with? Where did you move to Hollywood from? What city did you move to Hollywood from? And why Hollywood?
Sure. Okay. Well, so I was born in Ukraine, Odessa, Ukraine, and I came over to Chicago with my mom. And
on a boat?
Basically.
Or a plane?
No, it was a plane.
It was a plane? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not...
You weren't paddling?
No. We can't here legally.
Okay, so you came over with your mom. Where's Dad? Where's Dad in the whole equation?
Well, my father left me when I was pretty young, and
that sucks.
Right? Yeah, and he moved over to the States, and I guess
before you guys.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, much before. Literally, actually, I mean. I don't know the full story, but apparently it was because he didn't want to have a kid, or.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, that's
a tough one.
It is a tough one. He felt bad, and he flew us over, and he set us up with like a little apartment, and that's where I am today.
Well, that's good.
Right.
Okay, so your dad and your mom do a little, and out come you. Dad says, fuck this, bounces, then says, fuck, that sucks.
Yeah.
I want to do better. Brings you over. Good on him, by the way. Good on him.
To Chicago.
Okay, so it sets you up. What did your pops do for a living?
It's another funny story. So I thought that he was a jeweler all my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I don't even know why, but he's actually a filmmaker. He's a director and producer.
Really?
Yeah, and he's a director and producer he does like Russian films. So he's always flying from like New York, Chicago, Russia.
Like Russian features, like theatricals?
Yeah.
So is he Russian then, or?
Ukrainian, but the Ukrainian-Russian culture.
Okay, so he was Ukrainian.
Right.
So why did he bring you over to Chicago?
Well, that's where he moved to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For the film game? Chicago's got a big film market.
I don't know. I don't really talk to him.
Yeah. You don't talk to him today.
No.
So that's interesting because you're in the film game.
I know, and I did reach out to him at one point, and we did start working together. He gave me a couple jobs, and then my mom found out, and
Ixnay on the hombre.
Yeah.
So why'd she just because she's like fuck him? You don't get to hang out with your boy.
Yeah.
Is that hard for you, man? Coming from a relationship like that with a father that maybe didn't do his best but tried, and a mother that has resentment for obvious reasons. I'm sure mom probably looks at it like, listen, I raised him. I did the hard shit. You don't get to just go have the fun with him, right? Is that the kind of vibe? I think that's fair. I think that's fair if that's in her situation. What's that like on you?
Honestly, it's not. Right now, I don't even think about it.
You could care less, right?
Yeah, my mom remarried. I don't want to say shortly after she moved to the States, but a little bit after. And so I was raised by my stepfather, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, he seemed like we met him
Yeah.
at one of the tour stops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super cool guy.
Yeah, listens to Pink Floyd. He is where I get all my love for science and the paranormal, and like the cool like hippie type vibe, all from him. Because my mom is pretty much the opposite.
So did you as far as the entertainment stuff, when did that creep into your brain? Did you just know that at some age that you wanted to do it? Or?
No, not at all. That is like so recent. I was a straight fuck up until probably
Straight fuck up.
Yeah, no, seriously, probably till 20 years old.
Wow.
19.
Let me ask you this. So, we'll jump into the business stuff here, but I'm just fascinated by this too, just because I have my own experience. But you said that now you don't really care about your dad's situation, your mom, and all that stuff. Is it something that you just don't care because you've accepted it, or are there ever moments where it pops in your head and it's hard, or do you just understand it and accept it for what it was holistically? Because here's the thing, 99%, like I said, I don't know my father. He never came back around. I know who he is. I believe him to be a tremendous piece of shit. But he never pops in and out of my life. And 99% of the time, I don't give a shit. Like, I really don't at all. But I have these moments of striking pain over it that just overcomes me like a wave. And at times, like, remember we were on tour that one time and I was at the back of the bus and I was like, hey, just keep everybody the fuck away from me. Mm-hmm. It was that's kind of what was going on. I just had this striking moment of like, where the fuck is my father? Like, doesn't he give a shit about me? Because I was thinking about my daughter at the time and how much I love her. And it was just like, do you ever have those moments? Or is the contact, I would assume the contact with him now would alleviate some of that. But you're saying you don't have contact with him, right?
No, I don't have contact with him.
Do you ever have moments where it hurts? Or
never.
It's just, you're just cool with it?
Honestly, I didn't even think about it until you just brought it up.
Wow.
Yeah, not at all. I really don't.
Well, good on you, man.
Well, I mean, from my understanding, he didn't want me. He left me, and
that doesn't hurt you at all.
No.
Dude, good on you, man. I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, the thing is, it shouldn't, because you didn't ask for your life, right? You were just here. So fuck whoever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's good, man. I'm not trying to say you should feel pain. I'm just interested in how you handle it.
Yeah,
I mean, just again,
it may have to do with my stepfather too. Like I
Sure.
see him as my father.
right.
I don't,
Well, I
see
have
that.
my father that I knew to be my father, Rod.
Right.
I didn't know till I was like 24 years old that I had a different father, and it wasn't confirmed until I was like 30. And my Rod, right, who raised me, he's my dad. You know what I mean? And he's a fucking great guy. And I would never discredit what he is, but he's not my biological father. You know what I mean? So anyways, I don't want to spend a ton of time. I really want to know your story and your feelings, but I was just interested in how we've never really talked about that, how you looked at that. So you're in the film game. You say you were a straight fuck up. What does that mean? So you were like in high school, what? You were just like
well, okay, so
you like just like a drugger, partier, metalhead kid?
No, actually, I didn't party too much in high school.
Right.
I did drugs. And
what's your favorite drug? I'm not saying you do them now. I'm just saying, like, as far as I know, you're pretty drug free unless you go to Medellin.
Yeah. I mean, I smoked weed all day, every day.
Oh, when you were younger, you did? But
Yeah.
I say you don't like weed.
No. Right now, I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't like weed for the person I would become when smoking weed, because I have an addictive personality as well.
Yeah.
And weed is really accessible, and I could just sit home, smoke weed all day.
I do jack shit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is usually what I would do.
That's the only real, like, warning when it comes to weed. The only potential damage that can make you lazy as shit. I know a lot of guys that
What was the wake up then out of that?
Yeah.
Was it a mental decision or?
Oh, so many. I mean, throughout my, I guess early teen years, I didn't care at all about school. I didn't focus on school whatsoever. I would spend almost morning to night on the computer. I played like video games. I was on Teams. I like hung out with like my internet friends.
And you were a lot heavier, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Probably
close to 100 pounds heavier or something like that?
Yeah, twice my weight.
Wow.
Yeah. I was significantly.
And how much you weigh now?
150.
So you were almost 300 pounds?
No, okay, not twice my weight. I was, I think, at my highest 220.
Wow. See, you had kind of a skinny, small frame too, so I bet you were a chubber back then.
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I was, and yeah, but it's funny how like one thing leads to another. I think because I spent so much time at the computer, and I mean, I would hang out in like IRC. You guys familiar with IRC?
Of course, yeah.
IRC. We would at one point. I don't know if you guys remember this, but early on in like when you were able to buy things online, I figured out a way with like a couple buddies to.
What do you mean? Like when you're able to buy things? You mean through IRC chat?
No. I mean just in general. Like right now, there's PayPal, there's this, there's that.
Yeah.
Earlier, what you were able to do is right before purchase, you were able to HTML like the website, the purchase website, and then edit the code, and then reopen it, and you could buy for $1,000 like a penny. So,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got,
wow.
I got heavy into the, I did like a bit of coding. But
so you were hacking shit and basically buying shit and stealing shit?
Yeah, for the most part.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. I would usually buy like servers, computer parts. I used to build computers. Yeah, and I think though that because of that is why I was able to edit so easily. That's why I was able to open up a editing software and able to dissect it so quick because that's just where my mind was.
And
yeah.
Wow.
So your dad was Jewish.
Yeah.
See, what's funny is when we were touring with Steve way back, when I assumed the name Zilberman seemed like a Jewish name, and he said, "No, I'm not really Jewish." And he goes, "Well, my dad was." And I'm like, "Well, so you just don't practice or whatever." And I said something like, "Yeah, you should kind of capitalize on that, kind of help you in this industry, man." I mean, and he's like, "Really?" Like, no idea at the time. And then you ended up taking off and going to Israel just recently.
Oh man, yeah. I had a bar mitzvah, so I guess I'm Jewish now.
What was that whole trip about? Like, who set that up, or what was that deal? Explain that to me.
So Israel has this program. It's called Birthright, where if you're, you don't even have to be fully Jewish. Some of the people on our trip were adopted, so they were 0% Jewish, but they were raised by a Jewish family. So I guess you don't need to be Jewish by blood. You just need some sort of Jewish affiliation, and you can apply for this trip. And they give you a 10-day. It's basically a super vacation. Like from 6 a.m. to midnight, I was doing like crazy shit. Like everything from like riding camels to okay, it's
so crazy shit. Riding camels and I was on those camels.
ATVs, just really cool stuff.
And you met a girl there. You met a girl. Tinder Zilberman did his thing.
No. It wasn't. It wasn't
Tinder?
through Tinder. No.
Was it from this like crew?
Yeah. So
was she in the Israeli National Army or something like that?
Yeah. She.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
She was a sniper.
She was not a sniper. She was a sharpshooter.
A sharpshooter. Okay.
Yeah. She.
Sharpshooting those panties.
We had 25.
Sharpshooting those pants. Steve Zilberman. That's funny, dude. So, she's your girl. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
continue with your story.
Well, we had 25 kids, adults, in my group, and then midway through the trip, we had 7 Israeli soldiers come on, and like one of the soldiers was like a tank commander.
And she was one of those?
No.
Okay.
Another soldier was. This is my favorite. She was she was an analyst.
Okay.
She was an analyst, and her job was so secretive, she couldn't even tell me like what country she spied on. So throughout the entire trip, I would be like Jordan, or I would be like naming out countries, trying to see if she would like
flinch. Snitch out the country. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah, but the girl that I had a thing for, she was so in the Israeli army. You have this a test to see how good you are at shooting, basically.
Sure.
Check your aim.
Sure.
And you shoot a bullet at a target, and you have to shoot another bullet as close to that first bullet as you can. And she got a 1 centimeter off, and it was the closest in her entire battalion. So so
she could actually do the deal,
right?
Wow.
Yeah, and she was so good that they gave her like a special scope on her gun, and so she was in this group called the Lions of Jordan, and what they would do is they would do like night missions to capture potential terrorists, just bad guys, whatever, and arrest them. And you're going at night, you don't know what to expect. So, they have like a bunch of people, they like surround the house. But because her aim was so good, she was always the first one that they would put into the room so she could, clear the area, and then everyone.
Well, why'd they call the Lions of Jordan if they're Israeli?
I think it's because their base was on the border of Jordan. Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, we are cruising with time on this right now. I mean, I'm into your stories, Zilberman. So, listen, for those of you that are into Steve's story, in the future, there's nothing saying we won't come back and get more of his story because I am fascinated with it. But to kind of wrap this segment up, you move here. How old are you? How many years ago did you move here?
I was 6, I believe.
To Los Angeles.
To Los Angeles.
Yes.
Oh, about, man, I think a year, and I want to say like 3-4 months now.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had been out here for a couple years by now. So no, you're fresh out here.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I thought you had been here for like 2 or 3 years, and you were like cranking in. So when you met us, you had only lived out here for 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow, I did not know that.
Steve is about the biggest gypsy I've ever met.
Yeah,
I mean, he's hardly anywhere very long.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So, what are some of the places you've been?
So my ex was in Toronto, and I used to live 1 month in Toronto, 1 month in Chicago for about a year. I know the streets of Toronto better than Chicago.
Did you like Toronto?
No.
Me neither.
No.
I never enjoyed Toronto.
I wouldn't live there for sure.
No.
I lived in Denmark for 3 months. I used to do a lot of tours. I think I've done, before the tour with you guys, I think I've done 9 different tours.
And they were with metal bands, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're in the metal band. See, what was the name of the one metal band that you were like friends with and directed the videos? What's it called?
For All I Am.
For All I Am. I've checked them out. I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty cool stuff. For All I Am. To our listeners out there, check it out. Then now you directed some of their, not music videos, but like, well, similar, right? Just like tour footage.
Right.
And stuff like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What is out of all your projects, you've been out here, for those people out there that are thinking about moving here and giving it a go, what's the biggest project you've done, like with the biggest name thus far since you've been out here?
In Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots, probably. Nice.
Now, how did you get this gig? Now, we say Stone Temple Pilots, obviously Weiland's passed on. You know, he's not with us anymore, which everybody kind of saw coming. So when you say STP, are you talking the Chester STP, that brand of it? Is that or because I heard recently that they're getting a new dude or something.
Right. Well, exactly. So it was kind of like the transitional period. I was hired to DP their documentary. They did open auditions for a new lead singer.
Oh wow! So anybody could show up?
No, not everyone could show up. But the people that they would choose would show up.
Okay.
And I was just documenting that process. And I think it was 4 different times that.
So you got to hear different singers playing with the DeLeo brothers.
Oh man,
and doing the thing.
Yeah, it was one of the coolest experiences because.
Any well-known singers besides Chester?
There actually were a couple. I can't
say who they are?
Yeah, I can't say
they
names.
were big named that I would know of?
No, but again, I can't.
I would know their act. I would know their band. I would know their. Okay, gotcha.
You would know the name. You for sure would know the name. You guys totally would.
Corey Taylor. From Slipknot, is that one of them?
What? No way. Why?
Just because Corey Taylor, this is a fact. You know Velvet Revolver?
Yeah.
There is a completed Velvet Revolver record with Corey Taylor.
What?
He recorded 11 songs, wrote all the original material, went in the studio and recorded it. And when the band got done, they both were like, we dig it. It's not us. It's not what we want.
Wow.
I mean, they wanted fucking sleazy LA rock, you know what I mean? They wanted Wyland, you know what I mean? And Corey's just very kind of dark, you know what I mean? Very aggressive, and Corey's not glam in any way. And those guys were looking for glam shit.
That's crazy.
Especially the name like Velvet Revolver, for God's sakes,
That is crazy.
That's what I was just asking, because I could see that's something Corey Taylor would do, would be like, Stone Temple Pilots, I'll fucking sing for them. And my other 7 bands that I'm in, Okay, I was just asking. That's all.
So quickly cover those last few countries that you've been to.
With that I've been.
Justin's into the travel thing. He ain't letting you off the hook. He wants to know.
He's what? You're 25 years old, and it's just amazing how many places you've gone in the
Have you
world.
been to Amsterdam?
Like 3 or 4 times.
You've not been to Australia?
Yeah.
Have you been to Ireland?
Yeah. Yes, I passed through Ireland going
Scotland?
to. No.
Switzerland?
No, actually.
France?
Yes.
Guatemala?
No.
Peru?
No, I haven't been to any South American countries besides Colombia.
Okay. Antarctica?
No. Not many people go there.
So pretty much you've been to Aryan Europe.
Right. Right. I mean,
Canada?
yeah, of course.
Touring.
Yeah, I've toured through Canada.
Alaska?
Ukraine, obviously.
Alaska?
No, actually, Alaska and Hawaii I haven't been to, which is crazy.
En Mexico?
Multiple times.
Okay. So yeah. I mean, at that age, I didn't leave the country till I was 30. Well, Venice, Italy was my first. That was
Mexico.
No, I mean first not connected to the mainland.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, right? Like Europe, like that. Anywhere in Asia ever?
No, I was
Chinese.
No, I was
North
going
Korea?
to. Not yet.
Hanoi Hilton.
I'm waiting for
Korea?
the Asia trip. Not yet.
I'm just gonna keep yelling at you until you say yes.
Yeah, just keep yelling country names.
Yeah, no, I mean, you definitely get around big time. Remember when that age, dude? I do mean this. Justin said this when we were traveling about you joining us. He said, I love when Steve comes along because he just makes it fresh and new again. You kind of live through him again, and that's totally true. I remember in my freshman year of sitting in my living room with my old singer from my band, Dusty, and my good friend Marty. What up, Marty? That I graduated high school with, and it was spring break. And everybody was going to South Padre Island.
Yeah.
And collectively, I'll never forget this, we had $312, a quarter tank of gas, and Dusty's red Jeep wagon. And we said, let's go to South Padre. And we made it there and back and spent 11 days there. And how we got through it was beg, barter, and steal. You know what I mean? Just go, and meet up with friends, girls, whoever, you know what I mean? Just get by. And it was that youthful exuberance, that beautiful bliss of ignorance. You know what I mean? Of not knowing how the world works, not knowing that you shouldn't be able to get by in Manhattan for 2 weeks on $50. You know what I mean?
Well, I have a great tip, like for anyone who does want to travel. Travel has,
dude, preach.
I think almost, I don't want to say nothing, but it's not about money. I've heard so many times people say, "Oh, I can't go there. Like I don't have enough money. I don't." Preach. All you need is the plane ticket, and you can wait. You can wait however long until the prices go down. Whatever. You could go on standby. When you go somewhere else, there's hostels. You can couch surf.
I was gonna say, if you're a smart guy with a clean pair of clothes,
right,
you can get everything else. You can barter for food. You can find a way, like I said, to get a hostel. Yeah. There are public places for free that you can go sleep and be safe. You know what I mean? It's the truth. Like a lot of people don't. You learn that as a band when you're touring. You learn that. Yep. What do you need as a band? Most important thing, number one, gas money. right? That's number one. Gas money to the next stop. Then when you get to the club, you get what? Free alcohol, usually a meal.
Yeah.
Right? And then if everything goes right, 9 guys can split a Motel 6 where everybody showers in one shower. You know what I mean? Not together.
Yeah, or staying at
mean?
fans' places.
Right, staying with girls, right? Yeah, of course. The thing is, you can do that as a young man when you're my age and Justin's age. You're over that shit.
That's the other thing. The other thing you really need is time.
Yeah.
And with like work, family, obligations, that's what most people don't have.
Yeah,
it's
not
better
money. To do it when you're young, for sure.
Yeah.
Unless you have some way of making money while you're doing it. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's why I take every opportunity I get. Like sometimes I get flown out to shoot here or there, and I take either no money or little money, just because it's an opportunity I have to go somewhere else.
And that's how you make it in this business. That's the one piece of advice I always give people when they say, what advice could you get? How do I become a filmmaker? Show up. Yeah. Show up. Just go. If there's an opportunity, go, be present, put yourself in the way of luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you'll stumble into it if you're just fucking around. You know what I mean? So, well, having said that, Steve, listen, man, I enjoyed talking with you. I feel like I know more about you. There's a lot more I do want to know about you. So, listen, to those listening to this, if you want to hear and learn more about Steve, in the comments, let us know. If you have any specific questions for him, let us know. There's nothing to say that in the future we won't do some more digging into Steve's life. And, you just let us know, and we will do it. And with that, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we will be right back with more Paramerican Radio.
Paramerican Radio will be right back after this commercial break with even more dope-ass shit.
In a distant land, where magic is as real as the rainbow. In a place where nature exceeds imagination. A paranormal investigative team, led by a man named Craig Powell, has captured something on film. Something that will change the world. I have seen Sir No Face, and soon, you will too.
Director of Sir No Face. So the next few weeks we'll be announcing 2 brand new screening events for Sir No Face. To find out what cities we'll be coming to, visit aghtelevision.com and check out our live events and touring page. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you soon. And we are back, everybody. Let's get to bizarre events around the world. There's 2 things I want to talk about on this podcast specifically, and one is a more recent conspiracy that I have heard. With Trump being who he is and not somebody that's big into the environment. Recently I've been hearing this. I've seen it in memes, and I've been reading on different conspiracy websites that there is supposedly a conspiracy. Or people believe that there is a conspiracy going on, that the media is actually going to start not reporting, horrific environmental events that are happening, or scary environmental events that are happening, kind of as a protocol to essentially keep the world calm as things continue to get worse and worse and worse. And when I first read about this, I actually heard about it on a couple different conspiracy sites too. I was like, well, why would the media do that? The liberal media is the media is typically liberal, which is all about the environment and demonstrating what's going on. But you also got to look at this, man. If the world is going to start, facing some really, really, crazy things with our weather and with, the environment, if there's no solution, you kind of got to keep people calm. That's like the one thought here. If there's no solution, it doesn't do any good to go on the news and be like, well, today Florida is going to fall into the ocean and in sports. You know what I mean? You got to have a solution to these things. But recently there's something that happened that I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And what it was at the end of December into January of 2017. So what happened was, and there was a series of volcanoes that occurred, massive volcanoes. I'm actually going to pull up these websites here so we can see these. Hold on one second. There was volcanoes in Alaska, Bogoslav, December 26th. And these are like massive Mount St. Helens types of volcanoes, blow the lid completely. That was the 26th. December 30th, Sabacaya, Peru, another massive volcano. 2 on January 4th, 1 Colima, Mexico, and Fuego, Guatemala. And look at the videos on these things, guys. I mean, it is unbelievable, the footage.
Question to me would be like, how is the infrastructure working where the media, I mean, we both worked in the media. I mean, if I want to tell a story, the only reason...
You ever see Truther, though? You remember the Inner Truther? You know what I mean? Like how the foreign press was already reporting events for... on 9/11, they already reported that Building 7 fell before it actually fell. And that was my biggest question, too, is, well, what the fuck does this actually mean?
Here's... I have a way now. I just figured it out how that would work. And actually, this is a known thing. There is a division of the CIA and a project that was created for propaganda. And I wish I remember what the name of it was off the top of my head. I think it was developed in the 60s or something like that. And they basically infiltrated. They wanted certain people in the CIA to go into journalism, you know, and get into these positions so that they had control mechanisms. It's most people, you know, I would say a lot of the journalists are just journalists.
Sure, they don't know the bigger picture that's going on, right?
How did those, were they supposed to relate like directly to global warming in the sense, I mean, they would...
Well, people are begging the question. They're saying, again, it's like all these weird weather phenomena that the world is experiencing right now. It's just not normal. And people absolutely believe that it's a byproduct of global warming. But there's no press on this. Like, where's the media on this? Why are they not talking about it? Well, I guess shortly after in South America, there was a tsunami. And check this guy out. You'll see him bitching. Again, the media is not reporting on this. And you'll see, like, this guy talking about it coming up here.
Here in Brazil, they're not talking about it in the media again. You know, there's something really big here. Let me show you guys.
That's the streets in the city that he's in, where the water's just covering it up.
At 3 a.m. this morning, a 5-meter wave hit this tree. And I'm not fucking with you. This is a very quiet beach. I came down here by request. I was in a nearby town up in the mountains. 3 to 5 meter wave destroyed this tree.
So yeah, what he's basically saying is that there was a 5-meter wave that came from tsunami, and this specifically, one of the offshoots was that I was reading more about it, was there was also a cyclone that came through. And so there's just a lot of people that are saying there are major events going on in the world right now related to our environment that the media is going, ooh, I think we kind of need to hold back on this because we don't really have a plan. And fear sells, right? Like we know that with the media, fear sells until there's no fucking solution.
Do you remember like when we talked on the phone? I can't remember if we talked. You texted and we talked, and it was when Trump, right when he started. I mean, everybody still believed Hillary was going to win.
Yeah.
And you said, dude, that Clinton's or Trump's going to win. I can just feel it. Can you feel it? Okay. Don't you feel?
I felt it early.
Don't you feel like something's going on?
Big time.
Since he got elected, like the most asinine things are being stated, and everybody's kind of stunned. Like, how am I supposed to respond to this? Like, what? And why is it? Why that's so much? That's so over the top. I don't even believe a human being would be saying and thinking.
That's one of my current event topics.
Okay.
Well, we'll get into that. But you know, when I said that to you about Trump, like I said it pretty early. It wasn't numbers. It wasn't what he was. It was fucking energy. Like I could just feel this big, slow moving. You know, it was just like a giant in the woods, man. Just boom. Next step. Boom. You could just feel it coming. It's like, okay, take it out. Yeah, so it did. We didn't chop it down. I bomb it now. That didn't work. Shit, it's getting closer. You know what I mean? It just felt like this machine, this thing. And it wasn't just him. It was culturally. I think I told you that the morning I woke up and that he was president. And again, I truthfully mean this. I don't have an issue with anybody that voted for Trump. That is your fucking God-given right. That is what it means to be an American. You can fucking choose. I have no issues with that. I just felt disconnected from it. Like when I woke up and he was president, I was just like, God, I want to understand this because I feel like an outsider. I don't understand it. Except to say it's bigger than even Trump. There's something going on globally. And it kind of goes back to, you know, the whole like the world's going to end on December 12th, you know?
Yeah.
If you read anything about that, what it basically said is that date will signal the end of something great, you know, or the end of a time period and the recreation of something new. Not on that date, poof, the world's gone. That date supposedly was to signal the end of something and the creation of something new. I think there's a lot to that. There was a lot building up to that date, which we covered in A Blood Red Sky, and this was bizarre shit happening. Like I said, rivers turning red, like it was just all across the world. And you know, right now, I couldn't put a finger on it, but a while ago. It happened over lunch. I just sat down. I watched Trump give his speech. He was walking to his plane. I was looking at the eyes, and it was just like, God, I feel this. God, I feel this. And fuck, yeah, it happened. I don't think it would be crazy that the media would, in fact, pull back on reporting facts if they start to understand there's no solution. Fear sells great if at the very end, you give people hope, right? Take away that hope, fear doesn't sell. No one just wants to be scared. You know what I mean? That little bit of hope that they'd always give us at the Leonardo DiCaprio, his film, right? The world's coming apart, watch the ice bust. All at the very end, there's still time. You know what I mean? They always leave you with that hope, you know? And I don't know what is gonna, you know, happen, but I don't know. What do you think it is, Justin or Steve?
I think there's a conscious. I was saying this earlier about. I don't think it's a coincidence that people come up with the same ideas about the same times. You know what I mean? In different parts of the world. I think there is an interconnected idea on where things are going to go next, and everybody is moving to get there. So there is a connectedness that's happening, you know, and whether that is semi-paranormal in the sense of that you could feel it in the air, you know, like you were stating, or if it's more so an idea of picking up, sometimes, like, for instance, people can pick up body language of other human beings. You know, I'm not saying specifically on this instance that's what you were doing, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of times people go, I don't know, didn't feel like he was telling the truth. And what they don't know is that they are used to watching certain reactions and body language that signal to them that somebody is truthful or not. So they can just tell they're not telling the truth or not, but they don't know those specific little tiny bits of things that are happening, you know?
Remember when 9/11 happened? Did you guys immediately feel like there's more to this than I know? Or did you just swallow, oh, it's hijackers and a plane?
The first thing I did.
Didn't. Like, I immediately thought there is something really weird about all of this that doesn't add up.
Right.
Especially when I saw Pennsylvania, the hole smoking in the ground. I was just like, whoa, what's going on?
There's no plane there. And so the plane went down and there's a hole, and you're like going,
yeah, like,
well, unless you're mentally challenged, you would understand that no, a plane didn't go down there. If there's just a hole and nothing there.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like something's going on right now with Trump that I don't get. Like we talked about earlier, like he's been in office how many days and he's just slanging executive orders and changing the face of the earth without Congress, without the Senate, without anything, right? In days, he's doing this. No other presidents have done this.
The odd part is a lot of that is show. And when I say show, I mean, for instance, and I think Steve might have something like that you said in the news, but federal judges can overturn some of those things. There's only so far an executive order can go. It can start a ball rolling. In this instance, because he has a Republican-controlled Senate and House, that
you can make a lot happen. Yeah.
But there's
but it's bigger than that. Like what I'm saying, what I'm saying? Like it's not about an executive order that he's signing. There's something going on that we don't know what the big picture is yet. That's what I feel like is going on.
Yeah.
And it makes me start looking like shit like Jade Helm and stuff like that a little bit closer, and we'll get into that down the road. Look, as far as in additional news, there was a couple of things I want to talk about, but I came across this one video that I saw a long time ago, and it's not so much a current event as much as it is a theory that is gaining steam amongst the I don't want to say paranormal community because it's bigger than that. A lot of people are talking about. A couple of my neighbors were talking about the other day that are not involved in the paranormal. They asked me about it, which is the Mandela effect. Are we familiar with the Mandela effect? What the Mandela effect is, it's a belief that it's pretty much string theory. There are multiple dimensions going on, okay? And we all are in our own lane, essentially, right? And some of us are in the same dimension, and some of us, things in that one dimension will stop and start again, and we go down a different lane of history. And as we go down different, basically, dimensions and cross over from one to the other, tiny little details start changing.
Oh, yeah.
Tiny little details start changing that you can pick and see, and that when you see them, you're like, that's not right. That's not right. Something's wrong with this. It's called the Mandela effect because there are literally millions of people that swear to God Nelson Mandela died in prison. And they remember his funeral. They remember world leaders speaking at his funeral about it. And it's a celebrated event. And then there's, obviously, like, I don't remember that. Then everybody else remembers, no, Mandela was let free and later became, like, no. But it applies in even small things, little things. For example, one of the biggest ones is the Mandela effect. Star Wars is one of the biggest ones. The Luke, I am your father, right? Do you guys remember that line from Star Wars? Luke, I am your father. Do you remember that line, Justin? It turns out it was not Luke, I am your father. It was, no, I am your father.
Yeah.
Instead of Luke, I am your father. Which a lot of people, remember it as Luke, I am your father. Which I remember it as Luke, I am your father. What do you remember it as?
Yeah.
I remember it as Luke, I am your father. And if you look at it, here, I'll show you the original. I am your father, Star Wars scene. We'll look it up right now. And even when I watch it now, what's really totally weird about it is this doesn't feel right when I see it.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
And here it comes.
He told me enough.
Here it comes.
He told me you killed him. No. I am your father.
That sound right to you? Doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't mean that it's not it, but remember Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
In the movie, turns on the fan. Luke, I am your father.
So now I wonder if that's what it is, though. If other people have repeated it that way, so that we're remembering it that way.
Well, let's go to the guy who actually, who's the voice of him? What's his name? Who does the
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Watch this. This is where it gets even weirder now. James Earl Jones. You would think that he would know, correct? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what he has to say about it.
When I first saw the dialogue that said, Luke, I am your father,
That
I said
sounds
to
right.
myself, he's lying.
He's talking about the
I
script.
wonder how they're going to play that liar. He's lying.
That's what he
When I
says.
first saw the dialogue that said, Luke, I am your father, I said to myself, he's lying. I wonder how this...
So there's shitloads of people that go, no, listen, I've seen this hundreds of times. Vader says, Luke, I am your father. But not in the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect, there's a different time. And it's, no, I am your father. The craziest one for me is this. Who's the fairest of them all? Start that sentence.
Jesus.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
That's how I know it,
Yeah.
right? Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Wait, that's not
who's
it.
the fairest of them all? That's how I know it. That's how I grew up.
But that's been said so many times in so many
Right.
movies too. So I wonder if it's been changed in some of those movies, like Shrek. It was in Shrek too.
This is where it comes from. Snow White. Check it out.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
See, again, I wonder on that just because that has been used so many times over. It has become like, it's a famous line in all these movies, and they do little spoofs off of it, like they did in Shrek. And I wonder if it's gotten changed in those movies, and that's how we remember it now.
The thing is, they have old copies of this that they've played it, and it's always been magic mirror on the wall. It's never been mirror, mirror on the wall. So how could something so blatantly, she says magic, how could it be so copied and lost,
Oh, there's another big one, the Bernstein Bears.
Spell it.
No, that one actually blew my eyes because I for sure thought it was Bernstein. That's how I always saw it. That's how I always heard it.
That's how I remember it. That's how Lord remembers it. And the weird thing about that one, there's old VHS tapes from the company where it says Berenstain.
Oh.
And now it's Berenstain,
Yeah.
Stain.
Yeah.
Which I grew up calling it the Berenstain Bears. I never called it the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one is, here you go, Mandela Effect.
Wow, I'd never even heard about the Mandela effect before.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Berenstain Bears. Honestly, I just think people have fucked up memories. I just think these are minor details of little tiny things that just, you remember it a certain way, and that's just it. Having said that, we are doing something new on this podcast from PARAMERICAN Radio. We have turned our current events over to Steve Tinder Zilberman with current events. Steve, give us the current events. What's going on now? What do you got?
Well, the first one's really hard to avoid. Everyone's talking about it. It's the biggest thing that you read about the news, and it's Trump's immigration ban.
I'll tell you what, I've already said I don't want this show to be political, and I don't. This is a hard one to avoid. From what I understand, he signed, it's a 90-day ban from 7 different countries. It could potentially keep 130 million people out of our country.
Right.
My first gut instinct was this. Fuck, man, America was made on people coming to this country. That's how we were built. We are a nation of immigrants. Generational, yes, but we're a nation of immigrants. What, to me, and my honest feelings are this, it's not, that's not what we should stand for, period. It feels wrong. It feels wrong. I don't know how deep you got to get into it. It feels wrong,
Yeah.
If you ever met, I know many Muslims, some of the most peaceful, fucking God-fearing, wonderful people. I mean, they're talking about extremists. If you don't get that, I know. I mean, you want to talk about some crazy fuckers? Go to the right wing, Aryan Christian far right. You'll see the scariest motherfuckers ever. You know what I mean? Who's the dude that took out Oklahoma City?
Timothy
McVeigh. You know what I mean? Like that. So if 20 of those people did crazy shit, would we keep Christians out of America? It feels wrong. It feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
I'm all for better vetting procedures and better stuff like that, but to tell someone you can't come in our country.
Yeah, and there's a Academy Award nominated director, Asghar Farhadi. He can't even attend the Academy Awards because of
You're
of
kidding
the ban.
me.
No, seriously.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the chance of him being the terrorist? Fucking zero.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Wow.
Yeah, and then that kind of moves into my next current event, which also has to do with what we've been talking about, and it's a two-parter.
Okay.
One is Gorbachev. He made a new video, and he says that a new war is imminent. We are on the brink of a new big war.
Wow. Like a world war.
Right, and
Wow.
that has to do also with the doomsday clock is the closest to midnight since it was in the 50s, and that I think has to do with what you guys are talking about. You know, there's like some sort of feeling that something's going on, and you know, it's because we're moving closer towards doomsday.
Now,
and
how does a doomsday clock work? I'm not really familiar with.
I don't know what it calculates, but I know it's basically. Well, go ahead. Do you have an answer for that?
No,
Let me search it real fast. I mean, I've heard about it many times, but I've also heard it calculates all kinds of shit that it puts together, basically. Doomsday Clock, Wikipedia.
to nuclear war.
Doomsday Clock is a symbol that represents a countdown possible to global catastrophe. It has been maintained since 1947 by the members of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists Science and Security Board, who are in turn advised by government board and the board of sponsors, including 18 Nobel laureates. Originally, the clock, which hangs on a wall in the Bulletin's office in the University of Chicago, represented an analogy for the threat of global nuclear war. However, since 2007, it has also reflected climate change and new developments in the life sciences and technology that could inflict irrevocable harm to humanity. The clock represents a hypothetical global catastrophe at midnight, and the Bulletin's opinion on how close the world is to global catastrophe as a number of minutes before midnight. So it's just looking at everything, you know what I mean, that's going on right now as far as like...
I mean, it's crazy to me that it's the closest to midnight now because you have like World War II, you had the Cold War, where we were so close, and...
That's fascinating. I mean, how can you not listen to what they just said there and not be like, that isn't a simple thing. There's a science panel involved in something that's pretty much paranormal, man. Right?
Yeah.
Or not, at least it's subjective and buys into this whole idea that, you know, we create reality or something because it's like the random number generator, the Global Consciousness
look at
Project.
This is crazy. Yeah, minutes to midnight. Soviet Union tested its first atomic bomb. It was 3 minutes to midnight in 1949. In response to a perception of an increased scientific cooperation and public understanding of the dangers of nuclear weapons, as well as political actions taken to avoid massive retaliation, the United States and Soviet Union cooperate and avoid direct confrontation in regional conflicts such as the 1956 Suez Canal crisis. That was 7 minutes to midnight. We jump ahead to where we're at right now. Fuck, we're 2.5 minutes to midnight. Rise of nationalism. United States President Donald Trump's comments over nuclear weapons, the threat of a renewed arms race between the U.S. and Russia, and the disbelief that the scientific consensus over climate change by the Trump Association. So this is directly in relation to Trump.
Well, Trump and also Brexit.
Yeah.
You know, there was nationalism going on in England.
It's not saying Brexit here, though. It's saying
Cubs winning.
him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think what they're saying in the rise of nationalism, it's not just Trump that's been identified as not, you know, the change in towards nationalism.
Well, I mean, you can look at Putin as a, you know what I mean? You can look at the same thing. Wow, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Really, yeah. So what do I think? It scares the shit out of me. I don't want to go to war. I don't want anything. Yeah, and I shouldn't think anybody would want to.
Well,
you should not want to.
You know, what's odd too is like when everybody said, well, "Yeah, we don't trust Russia." When doesn't anybody remember during the Mitt Romney Obama debate how Obama was making fun of Mitt Romney, the idea that Russia is our biggest enemy, and he goes, "What are you going to like?" And supposedly they got along fairly well back then too.
Right.
You know, as far as unless it's the Mandela effect, I remember them getting along fairly well.
Yeah,
and then all of a
yeah.
sudden, you have all of society in America all going, "Oh, Russia's doing this, and they're taking over this, and we don't trust them, and they need to." And all these Republican senators are taking the stand, you know, just prosecuting any of the picks down at Trump because they want him. They need to say in black and white that, you know, basically he's a bad guy.
Well, it was directly because of like the Syrian conflict, the Ukrainian conflict.
Yeah,
Russia is seen as like the bad guy again, and during the debates, you know, they weren't.
And because Putin is a hardliner, you know what I mean? Like, he plays the role perfectly, and he likes the role. Putin likes the publicity. He likes to ride horses with the shirt off. In a lot of ways, he's kind of like their Trump, except for he's very fucking intelligent. And the guy, I mean, he was the head of the fucking KGB. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like this guy knows his shit, and he knows secrets. He knows what's going on. Putin's scary to me.
That part is, though, you know, that when you say
man.
it is relation to Crimea and all those things that have recently happened, you know, that is true. But those things happen all the time. You know, we never really get down on Israel, and when they were taking over all of Palestine, and they start off very small, and tons of Palestinians were slaughtered and everything else, and nobody in America was taking huge issue with this. You know,
well, that's because Russia's stance was opposite of ours.
Right.
Crazy.
And that's what I mean. We're very apt to look the other way if it's in our interest. I mean, for the same thing to happen, you know what I mean? But then everybody really starts pointing the finger and saying, hey, this is the bad guy over here. Look at the bad guy.
Crazy. What else you got, Zilberman?
Well, the last one, I thought it was the most interesting, was that it was a California university. They have created the first embryo of a human-pig hybrid.
I heard of this. You mentioned this to me. I think I might have read up on it actually today. Mind blowing.
Well, my initial thought when you said that, I was like going, why would they want to create a pig and human? You know, but it's not for the purpose of actually having a human walking around with a snout and stuff, right?
Right.
It's for the purpose
Sounds
of
like have a pig human baby. Mama. That's awesome. Great.
There was a popular movie about that. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? There was some movie where
about a pig human hybrid.
No, about humans that were created to get organs from.
AI. Yeah, AI. AI. Kubrick's last film that
no, it wasn't. It wasn't AI.
The same idea though. Is the kid died? They could refarm the kid.
There was another one. It was a more recent one. It was the one that had Tom Hanks in it, and he played like 3 different roles, and it was from 3 different time periods.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what
that was
about.
it was the brothers that did the Matrix, except one of them is now a girl, right? So it's no longer the
Wazowski
brothers.
Wazowski siblings.
It's the Wachowski siblings now. But
I didn't know that.
And then they also did it in a joint venture with some other person that they collaborate with. And by God, are those two into some weird and crazy shit. The Wachowskis.
Watch their fucking body of work. Of course they are, man.
Well, I mean, just a simple...
The weird shit they chose. Did you see the colossal jump from like amazing in Matrix, which was way fucking ahead of its time, into just shit turd bowl with Racer X? Did you watch Racer X? That Racer X movie?
That was a Wachowski brothers.
That was Wachowski brothers.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
With Speed Racer?
Or Speed Racer.
Yeah,
Speed Racer.
Yeah.
Horrible. Sorry, not Racer X. Racer X is in Speed Racer. Sorry.
Right.
That's the bad guy. It was terrible. I mean, they are absolutely... They're like M. Night Shyamalan. You know what I mean? Like, you keep thinking they're going to give you the Matrix again, and they keep giving you turd balls. Like, it's just, some of it's better than others. There's some M. Night stuff that's okay. Most of it's unwatchable. His best film, obviously, by far, was his first one, you know? Well, I mean, it's just like try watching The Lady in the Water. Oof.
Do you ever wonder,
The Last Airbender? Ugh.
Do you ever wonder, though, having worked in the Hollywood machine and having not worked in the Hollywood machine, there's compromise that can happen, right? There's situations that can arise.
It has nothing to do with M. Night, though. M. Night won't leave Philadelphia because he believes a demon is hunting him. He won't shoot films outside of Philadelphia. Yeah, he for real. No, he's like tripped out. He's on some whole other shit. You know what I mean? But yes, I know what you're saying. Yeah, there's a different. But yeah, M. Night's just on some whole other shit, and he gets carte blanche with his films. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Did you see I think it was The Visit? Have you seen that?
The newest one.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's actually really good. My daughter really liked it. She wanted me to watch it with her again. And I thought it was a horror movie. And I'm like going, God, I hate horror movies, but okay, if that's one you want to watch. And it's actually a comedy. I mean, but it's set up like a horror movie.
Wow.
Wow.
And it's all shot a lot with Skype, you know, like you're seeing it through Yeah, it's actually really good.
The last M. Night film that I liked was, and everybody hated it. I forget what it was called, but it had
The
Mark
Village?
Wahlberg in it, and it was the wind. They'd run from the wind, basically. There was
what are the plants or whatever?
yeah, the plants were killing mankind. I liked that one. Yeah, I dug it, and it got beat up. I mean, it got beat up by critics, but that was the last one I had seen his that I enjoyed. I thought The Village was fucking. The first time I
You didn't like The Village?
Oh, I hated it. Especially when I finally saw the fucking thing. I was with the mask and everything. It was so fucking stupid.
You know, sometimes, and I don't think it's just because we're in the industry and we favor. So when I talk a film that got beat up by the critics and by people in general and lost tons of money, and I would have never guessed this, was the one with Bill Murray when they're all in the submarine.
I would have told you that got lost money.
Yeah.
Well, his shit is like that. The critics love to hate him. You know
Life
what I mean?
Aquatic.
Yeah, they love to hate Wes Anderson. Like, they'll love him one time and he'll make the same goddamn version of the same movie and they'll turn around and blast him for it. And it's like, it's the same general fucking deal. You know what I mean?
The thing is, those movies to me, I almost put them towards the 5-star type thing that I would, just because they're so original and cool.
Me too.
And I don't know, and I think there's a small clutch of people. You know, they talk about that parabola of the people that are the first respond. You know, the people that get on, and then the second.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just that, you know, we would be in the classification of the first people that are the diehards, you know, but I would be a diehard of people like Wes Anderson. I just think that stuff's great.
The Royal Tenenbaum is one of my favorite movies ever. I mean, the comedy in that is so fucking funny. I mean, and it's like brazen things. I mean, it's just like, there's fucking incest in the whole thing. You know what I mean? I remember people sitting here going, well, you gotta get your hands on him. You know, he sleeps with the sister. And he stops. He's like, and he goes, that's illegal, isn't it? I don't know.
It's frowned upon.
It's like,
who's his sidekick?
Testing the water.
He got stabbed and so-and-so. Who stabbed you?
He did. I forget his name. Yeah, he says, he carried me 20 miles after a man shanked me. He carried me on his back to the hospital. Who shanked you? He did. Yeah, no, it's he's brilliant, man, but his films don't make a ton of cash. I mean, they never have. I mean, he's like P.T. Anderson. P.T. Anderson's films don't make a ton of cash. He's brilliant. You know
what I was blown away was what the budget of that film was. Life Aquatic. It was like 120 million.
Wow.
I was like, what? 120
well, I can
million.
See with that cast was crazy. You know, 70% of that's above the line. You know what I mean? It's like that cast is crazy.
Yeah, but I always got the feeling, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like Bill Murray really gets it. He gets
big time.
And he loves being
Bill Murray. If you look at it, he's been making films with Sofia Coppola. Like all the young indie, he's respected. He's turned into one of those respected actors through.
He's like an older Shia.
Yeah, he is. He like properly. That's a great an older Shia. That's a great way to put it, man. That's a great way to put it. Well, very cool. Having said that, guys, we are going to take our last commercial break of the podcast. And when I come back, I have a documentary review that I am super stoked to make. One of the best documentaries I've seen in a very, very long time. And I'm going to guess you've probably never heard of it. We'll be right back with more Paramerican Radio.
Paramerican Radio will be right back after this commercial break with even more dope-ass shit.
In 1984, a Siberian geological group of scientists began drilling a well into the grounds of Russia's Kola Peninsula. After digging nearly 9 miles deep, the drill bit began to spin wildly out of control, as though it had entered a hollow region in the Earth's crust. After retrieving the bit, scientists lowered a temperature gauge and an audio recorder into the bottom of the well. Although the estimated temperature of gases in the ground at 9 miles were thought to be 120 degrees, scientists were shocked that the gauge returned a reading in excess of 2,000 degrees. But nothing could have prepared them for the sounds returned by the audio recorder.
Kalich's Stairway to Hell documentary, along with 15 additional Kalich documentaries, are all available on DVD right now at aghtelevision.com.
Hey, what's up? We are back, and on this podcast for our movie review, Justin, have you ever seen or heard of the documentary The 7-5?
When do you have time to watch all these things? It fascinates me because you're hardly sleeping and always working.
Yeah, these are when I do have breaks, it's films. I love films. I love documentaries in general. And this one specifically is dope. Obviously,
I haven't heard of the 7-5. No.
Have you, Steve?
No,
seen
I don't
or
think
heard
so.
of the 7-5? The 7-5 is a precinct in New York City. Okay? This is a documentary about a dirty cop that pretty much, when the crack cocaine epidemic hit New York City, okay? I mean, and which turned into the heroin epidemic, and that's where you get, the big, old school leaders of the drug game were pushing, millions and millions of dollars of illegal drugs to New York City. How do you do that when you have, one of the most heavily populated states when it comes to police officers? And obviously, right, there's dirty cops. This entire documentary starts out, and it is the guy that was the head of the 7-5 precinct, and started out as like, a good cop who wanted to do well, graduated, the academy, everything, and his buddy, and it starts from day one, first day on the job, what the job is like, and basically how he kind of learns the system, learns to get away with this, learns to get away with that, and then he finally sees after, he's seeing the wave of crack cocaine, and he's seeing the fucking money that is coming through with it. So he realizes they're not going to be able to stop it, that it is a fucking killer, and it's going to take over that city. And he basically meets, with a couple of the head honchos and just says, listen, it starts out small, I could let you know when certain cops are planning on a raid in certain areas. I'll give you a heads up. Get your shit out of there. You might have to give up a guy or two every now and then, but I'll keep, the top safe. You know what I mean?
You see this character in tons of movies. You know what I mean?
He's a real life fucking guy. He's a real life He even talks about that, about how at one point he realized that he had become that character in the movie. That was his life.
So he's in the movie. Oh, yeah, I thought this was just about him,
this is a documentary, and he's talking. He's telling how this all happened. And this goes as where you can imagine it, right? Once you get one foot in this pool, you're going all the way in, And by the end of it, he's just executing motherfuckers for the game, for the, for the...
Is he in jail?
Well, here's the thing. Eventually, what do you think is going to happen, right? Eventually, the drug dealers are going to be like, well, this guy knows everything about us, you know what I mean? When they don't give the guy what he wants, he's now threatening them. I'll fucking shut you down. I know your whole operation. And now he's a target, right? Take that motherfucker out. We're stronger than him. So basically, I don't want to ruin it for people. So the ending is not what you would think, and how it goes down is mind-blowing, but it's done incredibly well. This guy that was the head of his precinct should have his own reality series today. One of the most charismatic guys ever.
The guy that was executing people and doing all this?
Yeah, the cop. It's so charismatic. Oh. I mean, likable, good looking, quick with his words, funnier than fuck. He's hilarious, very quick-witted. Tremendous documentary called The 7-5. I would say probably in my top 10 of all time. It's in my top 10. Not top 5, but it's in my top 10. And so I would check it out. If you're out there and you want to see something big time, the real deal, go check it out. Which brings us to our fan questions. I'm really excited now because I just tweeted out earlier to get some fan questions, and my Twitter freaking exploded, man. So I'm actually pulling from my Twitter right now to read these.
Yeah, and I don't know if people can tell we're sweating in here, but our AC, our air cooling unit hasn't come in yet. So if you see us sweating,
tomorrow, man. It is a little warm here, and I've been here for a couple hours, so yeah, it's getting a little warm. Okay, Beth and Byron Prell from Chicago. Can't wait to see the Black Sheep tour. Sir No Face was amazing. Our question: what is the difference between a picture taken of a ghost spirit apparition at an event and the footage of Sir? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I think we don't know what the Sir No Face footage is. We use the term ghost, right? Because that's what people say when they look and there's a being that doesn't make sense and you can see it. The difference between a picture taken of a spirit ghost apparition at an event and the footage of Sir No Face, I think the difference from a technical standpoint is just that. We're talking about footage, video footage. You can see a full-bodied something lean around, look right in that damn camera, and lean back around the end. When you have a photo, a still frame, I don't care what it is. It's hard to buy it. It's hard to buy a still photo anymore as anything when you realize what can be accomplished with Photoshop. Photoshop is mind-blowing. You can literally accomplish anything in a digital frame. And what's crazy is technology's gotten so good, and Justin can back me with this. Not only can you accomplish anything in Photoshop, you can accomplish it quickly.
Yeah.
It's just lightning fast anymore.
But it's really getting to the point where you can accomplish everything in anything in video, which is why Sir No Face took the angle of really going at who are the people who got this footage? What was their story personally? So
Right. Next question. How often do you get genuinely scared doing what you do? You all seem pretty fearless, like you're more genuinely interested than even afraid. And this is from Carr in San Diego, Care in San Diego, California. Thank you, Carr. How often do we get genuinely scared? Yeah, you know what? Often, I guess. I mean, as anybody else. I mean, like I'm working on a show right now called Ghosted, and it's a new show for Eli Roth's company, and we just did an investigation in the Old City Jail in Charleston, South Carolina. And that's a big old scary ass jail, and some crazy stuff went down, and I have no problem admitting there was a good 15-20 seconds where I was as scared as I've ever been. Right? Really, we're scared to the point where you're like, okay, take a step now, just take one more step, take a step. Take another step. Click, click. All right, take another step. Telling your mind that, which is a process I follow. But I don't think we're any less scared. Maybe it takes us a little more to get scared at places because we've done it a lot. But I think our nerves are about the same, don't you? I mean, if something's scary, it's scary,
It's really weird too, man. It comes in waves. There's times where it's almost like I have an out-of-body experience where I'm not really that afraid. And other times I feel like I'm very attached to the reality I'm in, and things. One would be the example of when I started freaking out after I jumped with Joe and Lee in the basement. Yeah. I just started getting geeked out by so many things afterwards. So I don't know. It can come in waves.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and I remember I was blown away by Steve. You guys had your experience at the jail that you had with Craig.
That was scary.
That was just about the scariest I have seen these guys. I haven't seen Justin that get freaked out in a long time. That seemed pretty genuine, dude. And you seemed, obviously very, very freaked out, Steve.
Yeah.
Big time.
Not expecting that.
What the fuck? Dude, we got to edit that in this. Yeah, God.
He goes, what the fuck was that?
That's what it was.
That's what he says. Yeah, I'll never forget. It was so beautiful. All right, I'm just looking for next question here. Okay, and this is from Mike Baxter. Obviously, thanks for the question, Mike. Obviously, you've had paranormal experiences to validate your beliefs. Have you ever had a paranormal dry spell where you just went long without a personal experience or other paranormal evidence that you sought? Maybe I am crazy or let my imagination get the best of me, or otherwise made me rethink past experiences as maybe there was another explanation for that. I don't really understand the end of the question, but I think what you're saying is, has there ever been a time where it just seems like nothing happens for a long period of time and you get a paranormal dry spell? And the answer would be absolutely. I've went as long as a year straight in investigations with having nothing happen that I would say is, whoa, is hardcore. And then for some reason, things will just pop off like nobody's business, and it seems like everywhere I go, people are getting fucking pinned to the ceiling. And things are just crazy. So there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. I can honestly.
You said spirits follow you.
What's that?
You said spirits follow you from place to place.
Yeah, sure. I've had things. Well, they use the term "come home," but yeah, weird things happen in your house after you spend a lot of time at a place.
What does he say to the secretary at the Water Garden building when we were walking through to freak her out?
Yeah, she was so freaked out. And last question. This is from Tiffany Smith. Tiffany says, "What was a topic/film you wish you could have spent more time covering?" Tiffany, that's an awesome question. I thank you so much for submitting your question. And to everybody who submitted your questions, thank you guys so much for submitting your questions. We're going to give you all an autographed poster from us. So if you submitted your question to us and you hear it on the show, we just have your name here. We're going to email you and ask you for your address. And if you haven't heard from us when you hear your question on the show, just email us at aghsoldiers@me.com or through our contact email at aghtelevision.com. Back to her question. What was a topic? Tiffany wants to know, what was a topic/film you wish you could have spent more time covering? What could I have spent more time covering? You know what? There's no specific topic, but I can tell you what I am interested in covering is like real crime stuff. Like making murder stuff, like the killing fields, like on any like cold
What about
cases.
this UFO stuff from Australia that was dropped?
That was pretty cool. I would love to have time for that because that seems like that's not as a UFO, but it's again kind of like a real like a crime story too. This guy was shot and knifed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, down in Mexico, and has the scars to prove it. You know what I mean? So anything that has to do to some degree with not cops, law enforcement, but detective work. If I wasn't a filmmaker, I would be a detective, like a homicide detective, or a bounty hunter. You know what I mean? I just like, I don't like the idea of being the fuzz and being a downer on people, but I like the idea that it would be you versus somebody else mentally. Yeah. And you got to figure out where they're at, and they have all the benefits are on their side, they have all the advantages, and you just got to know human behavior. It'd be a challenge all the time to try to beat someone's human behavior. You know what I mean? So that's what I would essentially would have spent more time covering to this point, which I haven't. So, but hey, you know what? The films we're making right now are definitely not paranormal films, and they will open the door to take us elsewhere. And with that, what a freaking good episode this was. Went by like that. So had a blast. Thank you all for listening. Come back and listen to us rant some more about the bizarre, the mysterious, and unexplained, as well as our lives, our favorite movies, and everything that we do. This is Chad signing out. Justin, Steve, say adios.
Sayonara.
Peace in the Middle East.
Peace in the Middle East. We out late.
American Radio. It's the end.